Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to the talk. My name is Gregor. I'm from Swarm, and we are building base layer for the self-sovereign digital society. It's great to be here. Always good to be in Paris. Always great to be at ECC. ECC feels like home. So first maybe a big thank you to the organizers, to Jerome and the team, to pull off such an amazing event in actually quite difficult times for organizing such events. And yeah, they brought us together. They brought us together. Thank you. It's quite inspiring to see the ideas that are being exchanged, the collaborations that are being discussed. It's a buzzing place, so to speak. So today's talk, my talk today is about empowering digital freedom through collaboration, and I'm hoping that also the talk will inspire some more collaboration, some more ideas. So yeah, in the talk I will basically stop for a bit in this. Basically outlining how there's really a thin line between the technology we create, that this technology can be used for good or for bad, how we should stop and ask the why. This why helps us to identify also the values that inform how we proceed. Then I touch upon values such as freedom, which leads to data sovereignty, data interoperability, and privacy, and how we apply this in Swarm, how it also informs our strategy and decision making, and finally I will conclude with an example of the project Fairdrive, which is being developed within the Fair Data Society initiative that Swarm is incubating. So yeah, lots of stuff to cover. Let's go. So, like I said, we see every year when we come to this conference, or in general the decentralized space, the Ethereum space. It's really exciting. So many new things that happen in a year that it's hard to actually list them. It's like new songs coming out in a way. And it's exciting. It's, in a way, it's new world being made, a new paradigm is evolving, but it's also at the same time a bit frightening because it's going like really, really fast. And we have all kinds of technology, and sometimes it's really, really hard to, very easy to see how these technologies can be used in different contexts. So, for example, we are very used to use facial recognition on the phones, and it's so convenient. It's so good, you know. I just look at it. I don't need to type. I wink at it in a sense, and I'm in. But at the same time, we see facial recognition technology, for example, being mentioned quite often in other contexts. The markets, the shopping malls are tracking our faces, IDs. We hear about companies like Clearview AI that basically scrapes the whole web and works for the various intelligence agencies or state actors. So it's like, yeah, it's the proliferation of technology. It's so fast and that we actually don't control where it ends up. And it's not also that this technology is inaccessible. We see the rise of open source, and in a way, you know, so I did like this little experiment. So this is a DIY box. It costs less than 100 euros. It's made by Google, and it's a Raspberry Pi with an extension board, with AI extension board, and out of the box, this see already detects the face. It does facial recognition. Moreover, the default demo here is called Joy Detector. So basically, if I look at it, and if I start to smile, it makes a photo. Now, let's try. Photo made. So it was like white, you know. So isn't this like really convenient, you know? Like in the future, we can have social media that just automatically detects when we're joyous and posts only selfies of being happy. You know, it's kind of like to be or not to be, well, happy. So yeah, but And we can think as developers, oh, this is so cool, we can make it so easy to work, you know, and the same things apply to blockchain. But what if I just put it here and say, see this green light? It now records you. And because I'm like really, you know, like, I think I have like these really good ideas. It's, we have like this awesome new other shiny box. It's actually quite awesome custom Raspberry Pi case for running a Swarm node. And I have only one, so who should I give it to? Maybe the person, oh, good, already hands raised. It was a rhetorical question, I'm sorry, because it's just one and two hands were raised. But maybe, you know, maybe because I cannot decide now, what if this little device just measures how joyous you are through the talk, and at the end of the talk, well, the one who is the most happy gets the case. Isn't that cool? We can maybe even make an NFT to it, you know, so to really, because this is going up in value. So, but what did I do actually, you know? It's like, what I did is I introduced like positive, in a way, monetary incentive that actually incentivize behavior change. It asks you to be happy, you know, and does this sound familiar? It's like we can see this in the legacy world, in the centralized paradigm world with the products that we use, but aren't we also seeing this in the blockchain space? Are there maybe projects that are tokenizing things that they shouldn't be tokenizing, even though we think it's the best thing to do that? So there's a slippery slope with technology, how we use it. And it's going really fast. And for this reason, it is also good sometimes that we just stop. We stop, breathe in, breathe out, and essentially ask the why. So the why is very powerful. The why is the beginning of a journey of, in a way, of discovery. What is it all about? Why are we doing the things? The why helps us to uncover our values. What are the values that, you know, inform our design, that get manifested then in the technology? What are we creating? The why in this regard also informs essentially how we think about the things that we do and how we implement them. So it's, in a way, how does this, for example, relate to Swarm? And maybe here I need to stop. For those who don't know what Swarm is, the technical description would be that we are a decentralized storage and communication project. The metaphysical description would be that we are on the mission to empower digital freedom by making data unstoppable. And it's actually been a really good year for us. We launched on mainnet. It's been amazing. It's been like big milestone reached. And yeah. It's also been an amazing journey. It's been, the team has grown. As team, we have, in a way, become as one, Swarm One. So it wouldn't be possible without collaboration. So at this point, the second thanks goes to the amazing Swarm team. It's an honor and to work with you, and I'm really grateful. But yeah, let's get back. Oh, by the way, yeah. We're also growing, hiring. The start has been great, 200,000 nodes on the testnet. The network could be faster. We're working on it. It's just the beginning. So, yeah, join us. But coming back, how does now this why inform what we do at Swarm, for example? So, at the beginning, I said we are creating base layer for a self-sovereign digital society. So there's already the notion of freedom, and in a way it didn't take us a lot of time to identify that this is one of these base values. Now, there are actually more, so let me first a little bit of, I need to connect to my notes. So Plur is the first kind of those value sets. But yeah, let's this. So what you see is basically I'm connecting to Fairdrive, and this is our. Oh, you cannot see it. So just a second. Oh, so basically, okay. So through our, let's say, introspective process, we basically identified more values. And when we speak about freedom, what does this mean? How does this inform our design? In the digital world, in the data economy world, freedom can correspond to essentially data sovereignty. But what is data sovereignty? Well, data sovereignty can be made possible through data interoperability. So, but at the same time, is this something that we need to create on Swarm? I would argue no, but it's something that we should support in Swarm on layer 2. We should use positive incentives to support it. Another value like this is also privacy. I mean, at this conference, there's been enough said, I would say, about privacy, and you probably heard so many talks that maybe I will just skip it. But yes, so we can see that in a way, then if we really walk our talk and look at what Swarm is, yes, it has extraordinary privacy features, and it puts the user in a full control without necessarily others knowing that, depending how it's used. So yeah, just a second. So another thing that comes then to mind, if our cause is social, and I would argue we are not solving just a technical challenge, because if we would do this, then research would be enough. What we also want as developers is that people use our technology, So, and we want to see actually this technology to be used for good things. And this, I would argue, again, it's something that's quite common in the space. We just don't speak much about it. But moreover, what it informs is, first, it should inform anti-maximalism notion. It's like, it's us and others and everybody helping to work towards a cause, towards something that I would say the mainstream didn't yet recognize. And this is our right to agency in the digital world. So, but at the same time, it leads to other insights. So if positive social impact is our metric, how do we define it? How do we see it? And it's reflected in the ecosystem. And we again return to the importance of value alignment, because Swarm is also not an isolated island. We are all Swarm. Swarm is reflected in the ecosystem and vice versa. So there's not really a clear boundary where something starts and something ends. And in this regard, it's basically, we can take it even from biology, reading guys like Bruce Lipton or similar. So collaboration first approach. We see this in nature when we look at various rich ecosystems, how essentially the importance of creating connections exponentially grow creativity. Growing connections means facilitating innovation. So in this sense, it's also kind of important to think, like I see a lot of times, and we are all kind of, in a way, like, I wouldn't say pushed into it, but it's just the social norms. So it's like the metrics, the market shares, the drive for, I don't know, users and things like that. But does this really matter so much for us at this moment in this space? I would argue no. It's one personal kind of story. It's in my interactions with, let's say, with potential partners, other stakeholders, often I get asked, like, probably the most often question is, how does Swarm compare to IPFS or Filecoin, And Rinke got asked this at his talk on Monday here, and he did a good answer, and I would invite just everybody to check that out, because he gave a relevant answer. He gave an answer for developers. But the people that I interact with most, 95% of them, for these people, I would argue this question is not relevant. Because I said, like, when I discuss it, I said, why shouldn't we rather speak how does decentralized storage compare to legacy cloud? If we look at the corporate matrix, at market matrix, we see that decentralized space or decentralized storage is still very tiny compared to the legacy cloud. And truth be told, it's like the more each project is educating the users about the paradigm shift, the more it helps to others. Those who know IPFS very quickly grasp what Swarm is and vice versa. So I would argue that we are in an environment where we need to be aware that collaboration first is the approach that unlocks most of the value. The success, thank you. So the success of any project should be also considered a success of other projects. And here, Grief had like an amazing talk, and I think this really, he sets the stage for, I think, this kind of thinking. And yeah, we should be thinking about collaboration. So, but then when we think about like how we are connected, this collaboration then becomes basically the question for us, okay, how to go from swarm to a swarm. Because essentially, collaboration first approach, when we want to create as many connections and how we work together, it's how much time? 2 minutes. Shit. Oh. So, okay, fast forward then. So it's basically new approaches demand new structures. And for Swarm, long term, it makes more sense to be organized as Swarm, to basically engage into other also initiatives, and such initiative is also the project Fairdrive. So I wanted to do a demo, but yeah, you saw before how we are using our Markdown editor, and it's a little bit difficult in the sense how to now navigate, because I don't see it. But also today, we published Fairdrive landing page, and I would invite everybody to also test it out. So it's quite simple. Okay. Let's maybe switch to the light team. And you know, it's essentially the nodes that you saw before in the Markdown editor. It connects to this. Long story short, it's the first kind of exploration sandbox into how we can create user-friendly solutions on top of Swarm. And yes, try it out and let us know. So it's been already quite active. We have many grants. And with grants, at the same time, it's not about here speaking about the amount of it. We put more focus on how we engage with the grant recipients, on the quality of connections. So there's a lot in the making, really exciting, from Eterna, Galilea. Dracula is the Markdown editor. Eterna video player. Daplets are augmenting the web, Personium, another data storage, and so forth. So we have, just go to itswarm.org, check out grants, or just send us an email if you would like to collaborate on any of this. Lastly, very important thing is also, when we speak about collaboration, where does it end? So collaboration should be multi-ecosystem and even more. It's about, if we are truly about creating and following the values that we speak about, then these values don't stop, in our case, with the Swarm network. If we are speaking about data interoperability, it needs to happen among different data networks. It needs to extend. So also, Fairdrive project and Fair Data Society initiative is meant to be multi-ecosystem. And here is actually an action call to other decentralized storage systems. Just let us know and let's work together. On a quick note, there's a hackathon in preparation for end of October. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of action around this. So to conclude, I wanted, to kind of show Why do we need to ask why? Why collaboration first is important, and how we apply this in Swarm. And the closing thought would be, let's collaborate.